I think a lot of people don't realize how massive the positive impact AI is going to have on their life.
Well, I would argue that the idea that this AI disruption doesn't lead us to human catastrophe is optimistic. For example, people are going to be unemployed in huge numbers.
You agree with that, don't you?
Yes, if your job is as routine as it comes, it's gone in the next couple of years. But it's going to create new opportunities for wealth creation.
Let me put it to you this way. We've created a new species, and nobody on Earth can predict what's going to happen.
We are joined by three leading voices to debate the most disruptive shift in human history, the rise of AI.
And they're answering the questions you're most scared about.
This technology is going to get so much more powerful. And yes, we're going to go through a period of disruption, but at the other end, we're going to create a fair world. It's enabling people to run their businesses, make a lot of money.
And you can solve meaningful problems such as the breakthroughs in global healthcare and education will be phenomenal. And you can live an incredibly fulfilling existence.
Well, I would just...
Replit is a piece of software that allows you to create software. And That's pretty much any software you want. So someone like me with absolutely no coding skills was able to build a website, build in Stripe, take payment, integrate AI into my website, add Google login to the front of my website, and do it within minutes. I then got the piece of software that I had built with no coding skills, sent it to my friends, and one of my friends put his credit card in and paid.
Amazing.
So I just launched a SaaS company with no coding skills. To demonstrate an AI agent in a very simple way, I used an online AI agent called Operator to order us all some water from a CVS around the corner. The AI agent did everything end to end, and people will be watching it on the screen. It put my credit card details in, it picked the water for me, it gave the person a tip, it put some delivery notes in. At some point, a guy is going to walk in. He has not interacted with a human. He's interacted with my AI agent. And the reason I use this as an example is, again, it was a paradigm shift moment for me when I heard about agents.
Infrastructure is physical infrastructure, is meaning a computer in front of you. It is an internet connection. It is the set of tools and skills that you need to build that. If we make it so that anyone who has ideas, who wants to solve problems will be able to do it. I mean, imagine the kind of world that we could live in where no one can be, anyone who has merit, anyone who can think clearly, anyone who can generate a lot of ideas can generate wealth. I mean, that's an amazing world to live in, right? Anywhere in the world. So with Replit, the company that I started in 2016, the idea was like, okay, coding is difficult. How do we solve coding? And we built every part of the process, the hosting, the code editor. The only missing thing was the AI agent. And so over the past 2 years, we've been working on this AI agent that you can just, similar, since ChatGPT, this coherence over long horizon tasks in just 3 or 4 months. So we're in this massive, and I mean, this exponential graph, that shows you the massive trend we're on.
Brett, give us a little bit of your background, but also I saw you writing some notes there. There was a couple of words used there that I thought were quite interesting, especially considering what I know about you. The word God was used a few times.
Well, let me just say I'm an evolutionary biologist, and probably for the purposes of this conversation, it would be best to think of me as a complex systems theorist. One of the things that I believe is true about AI is that this is the first time that we have built machines that have crossed the threshold from the highly complicated into the truly complex. And I will say I'm listening to this conversation with a mixture of profound hope and dread, because
rapidly. And to reason through analogy, there's a lot of us who are now sitting there going, hey, wait a second, does this make me a horse in 1900? I think a lot of people don't realize how massive these kind of technologies are going to have as an impact. 1 minute we're ordering water and that's cute, and the next minute it can run for days, and in your words, it doesn't stop until it achieves its goal, and it comes up with as many different ways as it could possibly come up with to achieve its goal. And in your words, it better know what that goal is.
I'm thinking a lot, Amjad, as Daniel's speaking about the vast application of AI agents, and where are the bounds? Because if this thing is going to get incrementally smarter, well, incrementally might be an understatement, it's going to get incredibly smart, incredibly quick, And we're seeing this AI race where all of these large language models are competing for intelligence with one another. And if it's able to traverse the internet and click things and order things and write things and create things, and all of
we are about to discover is very commonplace. So we have several different categories of systems. We have simple systems, we have complicated systems, we have complex systems, and then we have complex adaptive systems. And to most of us, a highly complicated system appears like a complex system. We don't understand the distinction. Technologists often master highly complicated systems, and they know, for example, a computer is a perfectly predictable system inside. It's deterministic. But to most of us, it functions, it is mysterious enough that it feels like a complex system. And if you're in the position of having mastered highly complicated systems, and you look at complex systems and you think it's a natural extension, you fail to anticipate just how unpredictable they are. So even if it is true that today there are limits to what these
says, and 800 million people a week are now using ChatGPT. It's exploded in the last 3 months. And then to me, a singularity, when the first tractor went out onto a farm, for me, that was a singularity moment because everyone who worked in farming, it used to take 100 people to plow a field, and now a tractor comes along and 2 guys with the tractor can now plow the field in just as much time, and now 98 people out of 100 are completely out of a job.
We also always underestimate a technology if it does go on to change history. When you look back through cars, horses, planes, the Wright brothers just thought of a plane as being something that the army could use. They had no idea of the application. So someone said to me recently, they said, when it does change the world, we underestimate the impact that it will change the world. And I see people now with their estimations of AI and AI agents already incredibly optimistic. And so if history holds here, we are undershooting the impact it's going to have. And I think this is the first time in my life where the Industrial Revolution analogies,
especially if you've created an environment in which these AIs are de facto competitors. What you're effectively doing is creating an evolutionary environment in which they will evolve to fill whatever niches are there. And we didn't spell out the niches. So I have the sense we have created something that truly is going to function like a new kind of life. And it's especially troubling because it speaks our language. So that leads us to believe it's more like us than it is. And it's actually potentially quite different. So,
but by the way, he's the optimist here. Right? Like, he's so optimistic about LLMs and how they're gonna evolve. Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing technology. Like, I think it raised global IQ, right? Like 800 million people. Like 800 million people are that much more intelligent and emotionally intelligent as well. Like, I know people who previously were very coarse and they kind of rob people the wrong way.
The idea that this AI disruption doesn't lead us to some very human catastrophe, I think, is overly optimistic, and that we need to start preparing right now. What are the rights of a person who has had whatever it is that they've invested in completely erased from the list of needs? Is that person responsible for not having anticipated AI coming? And is it their problem that they are now starving and they're being eyed by others as, a useless eater? I don't think so.
How is it different than when the what's it called, the looming machine came and the textile workers, the result of in the Luddite sort of revolution? How is it different than any time in history when technology automated a lot of people out of jobs?
I would say scale and speed. That's how it's different. And
also,
the scale and speed is going to result in an unprecedented catastrophe, because the rate at which people are going to be simultaneously sidelined, not just in one industry, but across. Eventually it comes back to haunt them. And so what you get is a recognition that you need a system that does balance these things. And, the West has the best system that we've ever seen. It's one in which we agree on a level playing field. We never achieve it, but we agree that it's a desirable thing. And the closer we get to it, the more wealth we create. But again, if AI empowers those with ill intent at a higher rate than it empowers those who are wealth creating and pro-social, we may be in for a massive regression in how fair the market that the West
So is that
produced
your top concern versus economic displacement? And
I think they're the same thing,
how are they the same thing?
because the economic displacement is going to start. I don't know how many million people are going to be displaced from their jobs in the US. Suddenly we're going to have a question about whether or not we have obligations to them. And
You agree with that, don't you?
Yes, but
Going to
the
be-
cure.
Yeah, there's going to need to be a system to just hand out money to people because they're not going to be able to survive
I
otherwise.
disagree. I fundamentally disagree with that.
Which part do you disagree with?
I disagree that, first of all, that humans would be happy with UBI. I think that, a core value of humans, and be curious about the evolutionary reasons, is we want to be useful.
It's really important to know that a lot of the jobs that are at risk are the most high status, highly paid jobs in the world. Let's take the highest paid job in America, which is an anesthesiologist. This is the highest paid job. And
highest paid salaried job.
Salaried job, yeah. And the majority of that job is observing a patient, knowing which type of medication would work best with their body, giving them the exact right amount, monitoring the impact of that on the body, and then making slight adjustments. The right technology, and any nurse will be able to do that job. And you might have one anesthesiologist
because, frankly, I mean, in the abstract, maybe we all saw AI coming somewhere down the road, but we did not know that it was going to suddenly dawn. And we do have to figure out what to do with those people. It's not their fault that they've suddenly become obsolete, and it's inconceivable that people will accept this.
Yeah.
It is not. It is fundamentally incompatible with our nature. We have to have things to strive for, and you can sustain life that way, but you cannot sustain a meaningful existence. And so it's a short-term plan at best.
Let's talk about meaning. On that point of job displacement, this is already happening. Klarna's CEO, who has been on this podcast before, a great guy, said on a blog post that they published on Klarna's website, saying that they now have AI customer service agents handling 2.3 million chats per month, which is equal to having to hire 700 full-time people to do that. So they've already been able to save on 700 customers.
We are already well past the threshold here, where the world that we are young in is not the world that we are adults in. And that mismatch is making us sick across multiple different domains. So the question that I ask is the change that you're talking about going to reduce the rate of change, in which case we could build a world that would start meeting human needs better, open opportunities for pursuing meaningful work? Or is it going to accelerate the rate of change, which is, in my opinion, guaranteed to make us worse off? So if it was a one-time shift, right, AI is going to dawn, it's going to open all sorts of new opportunities, there's going to be a tremendous amount of disruption, but from that we'll be able to build a world. Is that world going to be stable, or is it going to be just one event horizon after the next? If it's the latter, then it effectively says what it does to the humans, which is it's going to dismantle us. Instead of saying, well, it's a shame that 3 billion people were sacrificed to this transition, but progress is progress, we can really say, well, we figured it out, and everybody now is living in a style that is closer to their programming and closer to the expectations of their physical bodies. If that were true, then I would love to be wrong in my fears about what's coming. But unfortunately, the market is not going to solve this problem without our being deliberate about forcing it to.
What's your biggest fear? Like when you say my fears about what's coming, what do you like? What's the picture that comes in your mind?
Oh, it's a whole different topic, actually. My fear stemming from technology and AI is that this is a runaway process, and that runaway process is going to interface very badly with some latent human programs. That, in effect, the need for workers largely disappears. It is profoundly disturbing, and it is only one of a dozen different ways that AI enables those who are absolutely willing to shrink the pie from which we all derive in order to enlarge their slice. There are innumerable ways that this can happen, and I think people do not see it coming. They don't understand how many different ways they are going to be robbed every bit as surely as if somebody was printing money. And then the last one is that this just simply accelerates demographic processes that do potentially result in the unleashing of technologies that pre-existed AI. This can easily result in an escalation into wars that turn nuclear. So anyway, I think that list could probably be augmented at this point now that we've spent a little time in the AI era.